Hello and good afternoon from Bobcat Stadium, home of the Frostburg State University Bobcats, where we have NCAA second round action of the 2018 Division III football postseason. I am Andy Stanko, and I will be with you for all of the action here on the Bobcat Sports Network. It is undefeated 10-0 number 6 Frostburg State University taking on 10-1 number 14 Johns Hopkins in what should be an exciting second round matchup. What is on the line? A trip to the national quarterfinals where the Bobcats were last season. Johns Hopkins, the last trip to the quarterfinals occurring in 2009. Big storyline here today in Frostburg, the weather in the mountains of western Maryland. If we could get to a shot of the field perhaps. It has been raining, freezing rain, since about 3 a.m. this past evening until just about now at noon. The temperature has just gone above freezing, now at 33 degrees, so some elements to deal with. We expect rain for most of this contest. There was some snow a few weeks ago before the Western New England matchup with the Bobcats, but we'll see if the slippery conditions have any impact on this game and how these two teams will manage those conditions. So first and foremost, the weather could play a role in today's matchup. Last week, the Bobcats were winners in the first round of the NCAA football playoffs, beating Western New England 42-24, the first home win in Frostburg State playoff history. The Bobcats and the Golden Bears combined for over 1,000 yards of offense. Frostburg gained a season-high 582 yards and went 8 for 10 on third down. Everything was working for the Bobcats offensively. They put up 42 points and get the win. Connor Cox, the quarterback for the Bobcats, a career-high 381 yards and 3 touchdowns last week. The Bobcats, despite the win, came out a little flat early on, trailed 10-7 after an early fumble leading to a WNE touchdown, but the Bobcats roar back and win the football game. Johns Hopkins last week, winners over MIT, the Pool B bid to the NCAA Division III playoffs. A 42-0 win for Hopkins over MIT to roll into the second round. Johns Hopkins led a 49-0 win, a 42-0 game at halftime. 6 touchdowns on 8 first-half drives for the Hopkins offense. The only 2 drives that weren't scores were fumbles for JHU, and Hopkins rolled up 677 yards of total offense. Quarterback David Tamaro, 327 yards passing, 3 touchdowns on the day, 5 ball carriers with at least 20 yards rushing, no one over 100, as Hopkins ran for 280 yards in the victory. Let's take a look at the bracket here in the bottom right-hand quadrant of the NCAA Division III playoffs. This is really known as the Eastern bracket. And Brockport, the top-ranked seed in the bracket, they were winners over Framingham State. The RPI Engineers defeated Husson, the Bobcats over WNE, and the Blue Jays over the Engineers of MIT. The quarterfinals await next round, and should be a good matchup here today, one of the best matchups of the entire weekend in the Division III landscape. 8 games here today, 16 teams left. All NCAA Division III playoff games until the semifinals are played at noon local time. So we've got 4 games going on at noon. Center at Mount Union, Randolph-Macon at Muhlenberg, RPI and Brockport in this game. And then 4 1 p.m. kickoff, St. Norbert at Wisconsin-Whitewater, Berry at Mary Hardin-Baylor, Bethel at North Central, and Whitworth at St. John's. Now let's take a peek at the team comparison between the Bobcats and the Blue Jays, as Frostburg State and Hopkins, both, as you can see, are potent offenses and relatively and very strong defenses in themselves, with a turnover margin of +12. The Bobcats, the Blue Jays at +2. But now we'll step aside for the national anthem. 3.5 minutes away from kickoff here as we go back to the team comparison. Both of these teams winning by an average of a lopsided margin. Johns Hopkins a slightly higher scoring offense. Both teams a strong scoring defense, allowing less than 300 yards per game. Turnover margin may be huge in this one. Don't be surprised if turnovers play a big factor in this one. Hopkins +2 for the season, 16 giveaways to 18 takeaways. The Blue Jays have not had a takeaway in the last 3 games. The Bobcats are +12 in that turnover margin, 15 giveaways, 27 takeaways. Who wins that battle here today? The Bobcats, of course, 2 interceptions last week by the Frostburg State defense. Frostburg has won the turnover battle in 7 of 10 games and has been even in the other 3 so far this season. So the Bobcats have not lost a turnover battle yet so far this season, and that has contributed to the first 10-0 start in program history. Jim Margraf at the helm for Johns Hopkins in his 29th season. Hopkins, he led to its 10th straight Centennial Conference title and 14th overall under Margraf, and the 8th straight NCAA playoff appearance for the Blue Jays. 219 career wins are the most for any college football coach in Maryland State history. He was a 4-year starter for the Blue Jays at quarterback and ended his career as the school's all-time leader in passing yards. He's inducted into the Blue Jays Hall of Fame as a player in 1997. And before Hopkins, he coached at Albany, Penn, Rochester, and Columbia as an assistant coach. He is the second most winningest active coach in Division III. Of course, Rick Giancola at Montclair we're very familiar with here in the New Jersey Athletic Conference. And as I mentioned, 8th straight NCAA playoff trip for Johns Hopkins. It is the 10th appearance overall for the Blue Jays. Hopkins is one of 3 teams to have qualified for the playoffs every year since 2011, the other 2 being Mary Hardin Baylor and Mount Union. However, the Blue Jays, a 7-9 record in the NCAA playoffs, and in the last 7 years, they were bounced in either the first round or the second round. The best run for Hopkins came in 2009 when JHU went to the quarterfinals, winning on the road at Hampton-Sydney and Thomas More before losing to Wesley in the national quarterfinals. This Blue Jays team stumbled early, a loss at week 2 at Susquehanna, 37-35, but since then they have been dominant, winning by huge margins, including a 49-0 shutout of MIT. For Frostburg State, the Bobcats are led by 5th-year head coach Delane Fitzgerald, the 2018 NJAC Coach of the Year. Bobcats are undefeated conference champs, first 10-0 season in school history. And in each of his first 4 seasons, he has improved this team's win total. He inherited a 1-9 football team, went 4-6 in 2014, 6-4 in 15, 10-1 in 16, 11-2 last season. And here, Frostburg stands at 10-0 going into this NCAA playoff second-round game. Of course, the Bobcats lost a regular season game with Christopher Newport University earlier in the year due to Hurricane Florence. Captains to the middle of the field, and we are set to get this one going. Frostburg State and Johns Hopkins has played just once before on the gridiron. That meeting in 2004, an ECAC bowl game. It's historic for Johns Hopkins as it was Hopkins' first ever postseason game in football. The Blue Jays won 24-21, and George Merrill was the game's most valuable player, throwing 2 touchdowns and rushing for another. And while both Frostburg State and Johns Hopkins are located in the state of Maryland, the Bobcats have 94 players from Maryland listed on their roster. Johns Hopkins has 5. And talking to Coach Fitzgerald this week, you talk about an in-state rivalry, Frostburg and Stevenson, Frostburg and Salisbury. Those teams, all 3 really built from Maryland players. Hopkins, a different recruiting footprint, so while both are in the state of Maryland, there's not a ton of familiarity between the players. And so it looks like Hopkins will take the ball first. And we are just about set to get underway here from Bobcat Stadium. We're excited to have you. It is 10-0 Frostburg State, 10-1 Johns Hopkins. Thank you so much for tuning in on the Bobcat Sports Network or the D3 Bracket Blitz with Frank Rossi and James Baker. And this is the lower right-hand quadrant. The winner here today will face the winner of Brockport and RPI next weekend. Bobcats winners over Western New England last Saturday, 42-24. Hopkins 49-0 victors over MIT. Frostburg State and Johns Hopkins Harrison set to kick it deep. Back to return, I see Stuart Walters and Ryan Hubley. This is just the third home NCAA playoff game in school history, one in 1993 and one last week. And we are underway from Bobcat Stadium. Harrison boots it away. Walters fields it around the 11-yard line, and we are off from Bobcat Stadium. Walters up across the 30 where he is met by a host of tacklers and brought down. 1st and 10, Johns Hopkins. 14:53 to play first quarter. Hopkins 1st and 10 from the 32-yard line. And Johns Hopkins is led offensively, of course, by quarterback David Tamero. Tamero, the Centennial Conference Offensive Player of the Year, a unanimous first-team selection in the CC. He stands in the shotgun. Hubley in motion, and Tamero back to pass. He's got a screen. It's Walters. Walters makes his way up the right side. It's a first down and more, and he is wrestled out of bounds by Avery Thurman. And the first pass is a first down as Tamero hooks up with Walters. This is a Johns Hopkins offense, 48 points per game, the #1 total offense in the nation at 561 yards per game, over 200 yards rushing per game, and 350-plus passing per game. We'll see how Hopkins wants to navigate these conditions. 1st and 10 from the Hopkins 47. Scoreless in the first quarter. It is Walters breaking through right side. He's going to pick up a first down before Thurman again forces him out of bounds. Stuart Walters, a catch and a carry, and a pair of first downs. And Johns Hopkins, Stuart Walters is a 3-time first-team All-Centennial team honoree. First team in 14-15 and here in 2018. Walters, the give, and this time he is swallowed up by the Bobcat defense. Eric Davenport in on the action. And Hopkins working with some pace here offensively. Under 14 minutes to go here in the first. It is 2nd and 9 for Johns Hopkins. Ball on the Frostburg 38-yard line. We're scoreless here from Bobcat Stadium as Tamero spreads it out. It's an empty set for the junior quarterback. Tamero looks to his right, throws quickly. Passes completed to Mcfadden, and Mcfadden, another first down, and this Hopkins offense will gobble up yards and first downs. And they continue to do that. Luke Mcfadden, All-Centennial second team this year. He was the conference's Offensive Player of the Year last season. Quickly to the line again is Hopkins. 1st and 10 from the Frostburg 23. 13:20 to play first quarter. We're scoreless from Bobcat Stadium. This drive began from the Hopkins 32-yard line. Tamero in the shotgun. He's got Tyler Messenger with him in the backfield. It's an inside give to Messenger, and he is gobbled up. Michael Poorbaugh on the inside, and not much there. And quickly, Hopkins lines up again. 2nd down and 10 from the Frostburg 23. Messenger inside, breaks through, open field to the goal line. Touchdown, Tyler Messenger. And Hopkins right down the field, and the Blue Jays strike first, 6-0. Messenger, I believe, a 23-yard touchdown jaunt with 12:45 to play in the first quarter. And this Johns Hopkins offense, you can see why. The #1 total offense in the nation, they move right down the field and score. As the place kicker Mike Eberly into the game. And no, it's a fake. Thrown right side and broken up by Persichetti. So Margraf pulling the strings on the 2-point conversion. It is unsuccessful. So it is 6-0, 12:45 to play in the first. And here is the touchdown run. Messenger virtually untouched. I don't know if a Bobcat got a paw on him. And he goes into the end zone. And now that's something that is relatively rare. The Bobcats in 10 games this season have scored first in 8 of them. the Bobcats have won a large number of games consecutively, 27 games in a row in which they have scored first. The Bobcats 33-3 when scoring first. However, it is Hopkins to do so, taking the football and marching right down the field and scoring. So, flips over to the Frostburg State offense, and the Bobcats will be forced to respond. Hopkins getting it done with the short passing game and the running game in that first drive despite these conditions. Kickoff specialist is Kyle Battles, a freshman with 28 touchbacks on the season. And Battles sends it away deep to Terrell Brown. Brown from his own end zone. Angled to the left and out of bounds across the 25-yard line, so Frostburg State takes over. 12:38 to play. First quarter, Frostburg State with the football on the FSU 25-yard line. While Hopkins is led by David Tamaro, the Centennial Conference's Offensive Player of the Year. The Bobcats are led by Connor Cox, the NJAC's Offensive Player of the Year and the first-team quarterback for the second consecutive season. Cox works out of the shotgun. Teeter is tight end, switching over to the left side. And a first down give inside is to Jamal Morantz, and he'll pick up a yard. This Bobcat offense, 42 points per game, over 430 yards per game, nearly 200 yards rushing and 240 yards passing per game. The number one offensive unit in the NJAC. Cox, power pistol right, 2nd and 10. Just over 12 minutes to play in the first quarter. Morantz, another give. The football is out. However, whistles were blown immediately. Hopkins excited for a moment. That's something this Hopkins defense is not great at, taking the football away. Just 18 takeaways in 11 games for Hopkins. None in the last 3. That'll bring up a 3rd and 4 for Frostburg State. Ball on the FSU 34. Bobcats trailing 6-0. 11.5 to play in the first quarter. Cox works out of the shotgun. Lofting it deep left side for Ikubu, and that is off the mark. Weed in coverage for Hopkins. And the Bobcats go 3 and out. And so Keegan Schimmelman sees the field for the first time today. Schimmelman didn't even appear in the first half of the Bobcats' win over Western New England. Back to return is Zach Fernandez for Hopkins. Blue Jays have blocked 8 kicks on the season, good for 6th in Division III. Schimmelman gets it off, angled to the right side, and it trickles inbounds, takes a nice Bobcat bounce, and it is downed by Michael Bell at the Johns Hopkins 27-yard line. So the Blue Jays take over. 11:16 to play in the first quarter. 6-0 Hopkins from the Johns Hopkins 27-yard line. Last drive, JHU moved quickly down the field and scored. And it is a 5 wide receiver set for David Tamaro here. Tamaro back to pass. Bobcats bring pressure. He steps up and completes his pass over the middle. The football is out, and the Bobcats pounce on it. Recovered by Frostburg State. It is Vinny Persichetti at the Hopkins 43-yard line. And it is a Bobcat football, signaled by our referee, Chip Bishop. And there was a mistake on the part of Johns Hopkins and the Bobcat defense, a takeaway. Vinny Persichetti, in his 5th NCAA playoff game, he's got 3 interceptions and now a fumble recovery. 11:04 to play in the first. Bobcat football from the Johns Hopkins 43-yard line. Cox back to pass. Over the middle, it's Teeter, and it skips to him. Incomplete. So a sudden change situation here for the Frostburg offense and the Hopkins defense. And that was a storyline coming into this game. Bobcats plus 12 in turnover margin for the season, while Hopkins was just plus 2. Frostburg the early takeaway. Cox for Morant inside, and he gains to about the 40. So they'll give him a gain of 3 on second down. And all of a sudden, here we are, 3rd and 7. Quinones on the tackle for Johns Hopkins. 3 receivers set for the Bobcats. It is Thornton at the bottom, Ikubu in the slot, Sergio Andino closest to the line. Cox back to pass. Looking for Andino on the wheel. Andino makes the grab, and he's down at the 10. Sergio Andino, a big reception. And the Bobcats are in business inside the Blue Jays' 10-yard line. First and goal from the 9 for Frostburg State. 10 minutes, 15 seconds to play in the first. Hopkins leads 6-0. Cox, handoff right side. It's Morant spinning back into the middle. Morant churning the feet, and he is stuffed up around the 3-yard line. Bobcats sniffing a game-tying score and a go-ahead extra point here early. Second and goal from the 3. Bobcats 35 touchdowns and 48 trips on the season in the red zone. Another handoff to Morant. And he is stacked up. So he will gain 1 yard to the 2-yard line. So the Bobcats converted a big 3rd and 7 to get inside the 10, and now a 3rd and 2. Or 3rd and goal from the 2. Power pistol look here for the Bobcats. Forte, the fullback in the game, with a couple of tight ends. Give to Morant, and Morant is stacked up. He'll lose a yard. And the field goal team out onto the field for Frostburg State. A good stand there by the Hopkins defense. Frostburg first and goal from the 9. The Bobcats cannot punch it in. Jeremy Harrison here attempting from 20 yards out. Harrison 7 for 10 on the season in field goals. Kicks it up and kicks it in. 8:25 to play, first quarter. Johns Hopkins 6, Frostburg State 3. And so Harrison's field goal puts the Bobcats on the board. Believe it or not, the first time Frostburg State and Johns Hopkins played, Hopkins faked an extra point in that game but converted it back in 2004 in the ECAC bowl game. Hopkins' first ever postseason appearance, and Jim McGrath opted to do it again. It was unsuccessful, and so that brings us to this 6-3 margin. Tyler Messenger, a 23-yard scamper for Hopkins with 12:45 to play in the first. The response by Frostburg State, a 20-yard field goal by Jeremy Harrison. So Harrison set to kick it away. 8:25 to play in the first. Harrison sending it deep. Fielded by Walters inside the 5. Walters to the middle of the field. He's got some room. Stringing outside. And he finally steps out of bounds across the 35-yard line. So a very good return by Stuart Walters. And Hopkins will begin. 8:15 to play in the first quarter. First and 10, Hopkins from the Blue Jay 35-yard line. And Frostburg, the takeaway to start Hopkins' last drive. And here is Tamero. They'll spread out the Bobcat defense once again. Walters retreats to the backfield with Tamero. And Walters takes the handoff and gains about 5 yards before he's dragged down from behind. Walter Riley and Wayne Palmer in on the tackle. Second and 5 for Hopkins. 8 minutes to play in the first. Another handoff inside to Walters, and somehow he scoots through there. Dragged down from behind by Strand. They'll make it 3rd and 1. Clock continues to move here. 7:45 to play in the first. 6-3 Hopkins. Walters another give, and this will be close depending on the spot. I think they'll give it to him. So 3 carries for Walters, give him 10 yards and a first down. And it is a very fast pace from offensive coordinator Greg Chimera for Johns Hopkins. He's in his 5th year as the OC for head coach Jim Margraf. 1st and 10 Hopkins from the Blue Jay 45. 6-3 Hopkins, 7:20 to play in the first. Tamero back to pass. He's got some open space. He'll pick up a first down and more and scamper out of bounds into Bobcat territory. Tamero was called the Division III version of Tom Brady by Delane Fitzgerald this week. However, he has the ability to run it. On the season, 5 rushing touchdowns, including 1 last week of over 20 yards. 1st and 10 for Hopkins. Ball on the Bobcat 37. Just under 7 minutes to play in the first quarter. It is 6-3 Johns Hopkins. Tamero looking deep. He's got his man and into the end zone. Touchdown, Luke Mcfadden. Over the top, and it is a 37-yard strike. Tamero to Mcfadden. Hopkins moves ahead 12-3, 6:45 to play in this first quarter. Hopkins ran the ball, and then snuck one over the top, and Mcfadden was into the end zone. Another extra point, another fake. It's the punter, Hong Dominguez, and he's strung out and stopped. Imes on the tackle for the Bobcats on special teams, so twice Hopkins fakes its extra point, and twice the Bobcats stop it. And here's the replay of the touchdown. Both teams expecting a flag for some flinching near the line. No whistle, and a strange play results in a touchdown. Looks like the Bobcat defense was not ready, and Johns Hopkins takes advantage. Make it 12-3. Blue Jays here in the early going. 6:45 to play in the first quarter. So Hopkins has moved the ball very well early on, has one fumble. Bobcats use that fumble to kick a field goal, and now will be kicked back to Frostburg State. Here's the freshman Battles sending it away. Terrell Brown retreats into the end zone. Brown throws it back across. Bobcats have some room outside. It's Kayvon Carter. Carter to the 35 and brought down just inside the 40. So a little something there from the Bobcats. A throwback from Brown to Carter. So 1st and 10 Frostburg State. 6:33 to play, first quarter. Frostburg football on the 38-yard line. Bobcat 38. Bobcats spread it out, 3 receivers on the field. Cox, an inside handoff to Morant, and he is gobbled up. James Closser filling the hole. Well done by the junior. This is a Hopkins defense that may be overshadowed by its offense. but is a very good unit in and of itself, allowing 14 points per game, under 300 yards per game. And in this 9-game winning streak, has been excellent, giving up just 82 points in the last 9 games. Morant on the option, toss outside. He gets to the corner, and he's forced out. And there is a late flag thrown. So we'll wait and see on the flag. It is Robert Fletcher with the personal foul. Fletcher, the Centennial Conference Rookie of the Year. He has a chance to be the first freshman to lead the team, to lead Hopkins in tackles under Jim Margraf, and Margraf's been there. This is his 29th season. A very good young player, but a mistake there. Bobcat football. Cox, back shoulder for Ikubu, and he can't hold on. Incomplete. Ikubu coming back to the football, working against the corner, Macaulay Kilbane. First team All-Centennial Conference cornerback, and it's incomplete. 2nd and 10. Ball on the Hopkins 40-yard line. 5:46 to play in this first quarter. Hopkins leads Frostburg State 12-3. Bobcats 3 receivers on the field right now. Teeter, the tight end, Boyce, the running back. Unfortunately for the Bobcats, no Malik Morris today. Leading receiver did not dress for Frostburg State. And a little jet sweep here for Terrell Brown, who picks up a few yards before he's stacked up by the linebackers Quinones and Fletcher. So make it 5.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. A 3rd down due here for the Bobcats. 3rd and 7 from the Hopkins 37-yard line. 12-3 Blue Jays. Another 3 receivers set for the Bobcats. Cox in the shotgun. Blue Jays send an extra man. Cox scrambling, lofting, looking for Teeter right side, and Teeter in and out of the hands. Incomplete. That is Connor Cox's game, buying time and making something out of nothing. And Teeter would have been inside the 10-yard line. However, it results in a 4th down. And don't be surprised to see Cox punt it here. 4th and 7 from the Hopkins 37. Cox punts. And that ball will trickle inside the 15-yard line and is down there. So the Bobcats punt from inside Hopkins territory, and JHU takes over. 4:53 to play in the first quarter. 12-3 Johns Hopkins. It's going to be a Blue Jays football, ball on the Johns Hopkins 13-yard line. And for Connor Cox, that is his 11th punt inside an opponent's 20-yard line on the season. So back to this dangerous Hopkins offense. Tamaro in the shotgun. Joining him in the backfield is Walters. Walters on the handoff. Breaks through. Walters to the 30. Walters outside. Watts slips. And Persichetti tracks him down inside Bobcat territory. And you could see Stacy Watts losing his footing, and Walters no such trouble. And that is a huge gain on first down inside the Bobcats side of the field. 1st and 10 from Hopkins, ball on the Frostburg 44. 12-3 Blue Jays, 4.5 to go in the first quarter. Tamaro in the gun, sniffing out a corner blitz from Stacy Watts. Still another 10 seconds on the play clock. And here is Tamaro. Watts comes anyway. A little swing pass out for Walters, and he's lit up by Wayne Palmer. Ball hits the turf, and a late flag flies, unfortunately, for Wayne Palmer. And so we will hear from Chip Bishop, our referee. Some nice football by Hopkins, seeing the corner blitz come from the left. Little swing pass out to the right. Palmer laying the hit to Walters, and we'll see if there's a penalty on the play. They'll pick it up. So no penalty on the play. And so all of that, and that means it is second down. 2nd and 10 for Johns Hopkins. Ball on the Bobcat 44-yard line. It is 12-3 Blue Jays, 4:01 to play in the first. Tamaro in the shotgun, a bunch to his right. It is Hubley in motion. And a pass rush, Brochard on the blitz. And that pass incomplete for Hubley over the middle. So that'll bring up 3rd and long here for Johns Hopkins, and this is the Bobcat formula. Frostburg State, one of the best 3rd down teams in the country. 3rd down offense, 3rd down defense, top 10 in the country in both. Opponents convert just 26% of the time on 3rd down. However, Hopkins, number 4 in the country in 3rd down offense at 53%. Something's got to give here. 3rd and 10 from the Frostburg 44. Tamaro back to pass, lofting it deep over the middle of the field and overthrown. Looking for Ryan Hubley. Hubley is a very good receiver, but that's not necessarily his game. He only has 1 catch of over 40 yards on the season, and he was running deep and incomplete. So the Bobcat defense, after giving up the big run early to Walters on the drive, able to force a punt. So Brandon Hong Dominguez onto the field. Hong Dominguez, a Centennial Conference first-team pick each of the last 2 years. And he sends it away. Terrell Brown waiting. Brown from inside his 10 makes a man miss. Up the middle of the field, Terrell Brown stays on his feet and gets nearly to the 30-yard line. A nice job by the sophomore. Brown, familiar with Johns Hopkins as he transferred from Susquehanna last season, a Centennial Conference foe. 3:37 to play in the first. Frostburg State takes over 1st and 10 from the FSU 30-yard line. Speaking of the Centennial Conference, great day for the CC last weekend. 5-0 in postseason play this year is the Centennial Conference, with Hopkins and Muhlenberg both winning in the NCAA playoffs and 3 wins in the Centennial MAC Bowl Series. 1st and 10 for the Bobcats. Ball on the Frostburg 30. Cox, little swing pass here to Morant. Morant cuts inside and picks up 2, maybe 3 on 1st down. Centennial Conference, one of just 3 conferences with 2 teams left in the final 16, along with the MIAC and the SAA. Of course, Hopkins and Muhlenberg both playing today. 2nd and 8 for the Bobcats. Ball on the Frostburg 32 as we tick down to the 3-minute mark in this first quarter. Frostburg trails 12-3. Cox back to pass, firing left side for Andino, and incomplete. A contested play. And that'll bring up 3rd down. I believe it was Finn Zeckman in on the coverage for JHU. And so that'll bring up a 3rd and 10 for this Frostburg offense, which hasn't really gotten into a groove yet here today. Creeping up to the line is Michael Curry. Here is Cox scrambling to his left, completes the pass to Christian Thornton, and he goes out right by the sticks. We'll see where they spot the football. And Thornton is a yard short A very unfavorable spot for the Bobcats. And so here we go, a 4th and 1 from the Frostburg 39-yard line. Bobcats trail at 12-3. 2.5 minutes to play in the first quarter. Frostburg stays on the field. Two tight end set. 4th and 1. Cox, option, pitch out for Morant. Morant cuts it upfield. Morant across midfield and falling to the Hopkins 45. Bobcats go with the option and Morant converts. Reminiscent of last year, the comeback against Christopher Newport. 4th and 1 down at CNU. Cox keeping on the option for a first down. This time he pitches it off and Morant does the rest. 1st and 10 for Frostburg State on the Hopkins 45. Hopkins leads 12-3, 1:45 to play in the first quarter. 3 receiver set. Here is Cox. Rolling right. He's going to tuck it and run. And he slips out of bounds after a nice pickup of about 6 yards. And so Delane Fitzgerald, no real hesitation there to go for it. 4th and 1 in his own territory early on. And here is Cox in the shotgun. 2nd and 4. Inside give, it is Malcolm Facey, the ball carrier. And Facey will pick up 2 yards. Facey, a big game last week, 112 yards on the ground, a career high for the sophomore. And Facey, a guy that always moves forward. He's only lost 1 yard in 40 attempts rushing coming into this game on the season. Another short yardage situation for the Bobcats as we're in the final minute of the first quarter here. Bobcats trail at 12-3. 3rd and 1 from the Hopkins 36-yard line. Cox loses the football and Facey just has to dive on it. And the handoff goes awry, and this may be another situation where Cox is punting and looking to pin Hopkins deep. Bobcats don't have to run a play if they don't want to. Final 15 seconds of the quarter. 4th and 3, Hopkins 38. Cox, Bobcats will go for it. It's Andino, he makes the catch and converts the first down to the 29-yard line, and that is how this first quarter will end. 12-3 Johns Hopkins, but the Bobcats will be in business in Blue Jay territory to begin the second quarter. To get you caught up on our scoring summary, Tyler Messenger, a 23-yard touchdown run on the first drive of the game to put Hopkins up 6-0 with 12:45 to play in the first quarter. The Bobcats responded with a 20-yard Jeremy Harrison field goal that was set up by a Hopkins fumble in its own territory. And then Luke Mcfadden with 6:45 left to play in the first, a 37-yard touchdown catch from quarterback David Tamero. So there we stand, 12-3, and there's the replay of the 4th down conversion. A lot of people thinking potentially a punt there. Of course, Cox does it quite often. Has 17 punts on the year, but instead rolls out to the left, has Andino, and converts the first down. So here we go. Start of the second quarter. The drive continues for the Bobcats. 1st and 10 from the Johns Hopkins 29-yard line. Johns Hopkins leads this game 12-3. Cox fakes the handoff to Morant, looking long, shifting left, and he'll just throw it out of bounds in the direction of Thornton. Cox trying to string the play out, look for a receiver downfield. Good coverage by this Johns Hopkins defense and good pressure up front. He can't get his feet under him to make a throw, so that'll bring up 2nd and 10. It's an experienced Johns Hopkins defense. 5 active players coming into this game with 100-plus career tackles. Anthony Davidson coming in at 99. Bobcats only have 1 such player on the roster. As Cox, 2nd and 10. Inside handoff to Jamal Morant, and he is stacked up for nothing. Nice low tackle right there by Josh Tischler, who stacks him up. So 3rd and 10 for Frostburg State, trailing Johns Hopkins 12-3. We're early in the second quarter. Ball is at the Hopkins 29-yard line. 3 receivers set for the Bobcats. Cox steps up, looks to escape, will go for the sticks, and he will convert the first down. And Connor Cox doing Connor Cox things. And the Bobcats move the sticks. Cox entered the season as just one of 6 quarterbacks to have over 4,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards on his career. Led the team in rushing his freshman year, as a matter of fact. And here we go. 1st and 10 Bobcats. Ball on the Hopkins 18-yard line, trailing 12-3. Bobcats elect to spread it out. Here is Cox looking left, firing to Terrell Brown. Brown inside the 10, breaks loose inside the 5, and he's finally forced out of bounds. Terrell Brown. Creative way to get him the football, and the Bobcats are in business. 13.5 minutes to play in the second quarter. Frostburg looking to draw closer to Johns Hopkins. Blue Jays leading 12-3. Bobcats were unsuccessful in their first trip in the red zone, scoring a touchdown, had to settle for a 20-yard field goal. Cox with Morant behind him. Option here, Morant outside. Looks to cut it back inside, sniffing the goal line. Jamal reaching out, and he can't quite put it in. But that will set the Bobcats up inside the 1. 2nd and goal to go for this Frostburg State offense. Fullback Nate Forte onto the field. Bobcats 2 tight ends, a fullback out there, Lincoln Akubu, the receiver. Cox takes the snap, gives to Morant. Morant into the end zone. Touchdown. Bobcats draw back within 3. 12-9 Johns Hopkins. Extra point unit out on the field for Frostburg State. It is a Jamal Morant 1-yard touchdown run. 12:34 to play in this second quarter. 12-9 Hopkins. Harrison. Kick is up. Kick is good. Here's the replay. Jamal Morant hit initially in the backfield, but able to fall into the end zone. His 24th rushing touchdown of his career, good for 3rd all-time in Frostburg State football history. And the Bobcats back within 2. And this is a game that many figured to be very competitive, a game between 2 high-powered offenses. Several hours of freezing rain overnight and this morning, now turning to just normal rain as the temperatures increase. However, both teams able to score multiple times. Hopkins 2 touchdowns, the Bobcats a touchdown and a field goal, and here we stand, 12-10, Hopkins. Walters and Hubley back deep to return for the Blue Jays. And Harrison kicks to Walters. Walters muffs the football. However, he's got a big opening in the middle, and he is dragged down. Walters is. And so Johns Hopkins will set up shop. 1st and 10 from the JHU 28-yard line. .25 to play in the second quarter. Tamaro with 2 backs with him. Motioning out is Hubley, and Messenger is enveloped by Michael Poorball. Or Fernandez was enveloped. And nothing there as poor ball quickly into the backfield. And nothing doing, and Hopkins will regroup with a huddle here. We've seen Hopkins move with a lot of pace. We don't see him huddle up very often. It's a tight formation here. Walters the handoff, and he is brought down after a minimal gain. Doesn't even get back to the line of scrimmage, or the initial line of scrimmage. It's a gain of about 2 or 3, bringing up a 3rd and 11. Bobcat defense looking to get off the field. 3rd and 12 for Johns Hopkins. 11.5 minutes to play in this second quarter. Ball in the Hopkins 26. Tamaro in the gun. Check down to Walters. Brochart looking to tackle him, and Brochart brings him down. A beautiful open field tackle. And Hopkins to punt. Jake Brochart, the NJAC Defensive Player of the Week last week. 11 tackles, 4.5 for loss, and a sack. Bobcats have missed him. Played a lot in the first 4 games of the season, injured down the stretch. But a big open field tackle for Jake Brochart. And Coach Fitzgerald says he'll always play hard. And there he meets Johns Hopkins touchdown leader in Stuart Walters and sends him back. Hong Dominguez on the punt. Terrell Brown back deep to receive. Brown fields at the 33. And he'll get around to the 35. And so the Bobcats with the football and a chance to take the lead here. 10:33 to play, second quarter. Frostburg State football at the FSU 34. And the last drive spanning 70 yards, ending in a Jamal Morant 1-yard touchdown run. That drive with 2 fourth down conversions. Cox in the shotgun, 3 receivers set. Gives to Morant. Morant able to slip through and reach the 40-yard line. It's a gain of 6 on first down for the Bobcats. Frostburg has played from behind from the very beginning of this one, with Hopkins scoring on the opening drive and the Bobcats settling for a field goal. Power pistol right here for Cox. 10 minutes to play in the second quarter, second down. Another handoff to Morant. And Morant picks up the first down. So 2 carries for Jamal and a first down. Wrapped up there by Mike Kalanick. Frostburg working without a huddle as well. 9.5 to go in the second quarter. 1st and 10 from the Bobcat 45. Johns Hopkins leads Frostburg 12-10. Hopkins showing blitz, sending a few. Cox rolling to his right, firing deep, wants it Kubu, and off his chest. Coverage provided by Michael Curry. And Ikubu unable to reel it in. And it was just Ikubu and Curry out there. But Curry applying enough pressure, Ikubu can't hold on. Good coverage there. Curry, a guy with 10 career interceptions. One of several seniors on this Johns Hopkins defense. 2nd and 10 Bobcats, ball on the FSU 45. 9:17 to play in the second quarter. 12-10 Hopkins. Inside give to Malcolm Facey. He is hit and does not get much. If anything, they might give him a yard. And so 3rd and 9 for the Bobcat offense. Frostburg getting its signals from the sideline. Took a little while for the Bobcats to get that play from the sideline. Under 7 seconds now on the play clock. Cox with Facey with him in the backfield. Brown in motion. Cox thought about it. Evades one tackle. Looking long. Looking for Andino, and he makes the grab. Sergio Andino taking a shot from Seidel and moving the chains. Andino, 5 catches for 93 yards last week, his season high, and he comes up big on 3rd down and moves the sticks. 1st and 10 Bobcats on the Hopkins 31-yard line. Blue Jays lead at 12-10. Just over 8 minutes to play in this first half. Cox checks with his sideline. Hopkins crowding the line of scrimmage. Cox looking for Andino to the end zone. Incomplete. Coverage provided there by the freshman, Chris James. And both safeties were drawn close to the line of scrimmage. It was a time to take a shot. And Andino, a big body at receiver, 6 foot, 200 pounds. And as a matter of fact, Andino set the Frostburg State single-season touchdown catches record last season with 13. Led the NJAC in receiving touchdowns, had a big game over 100 yards at Mount Union in the national quarterfinals. He's been hurt most of the year, but had a big game last week, a big game this one. Andino off the field here, 2nd and 10. Pitch out here for Morant. Morant scampers through the hole and picks up a good 10 yards. 10 plus. Jamal Morant, a 1st down. The Bobcats spread 3 receivers to the right, run the option to the left, and convert. 7.5 minutes to play in the second quarter. Johns Hopkins leads 12-10. However, the Bobcats are into the red zone once again. Grayson Boyce is in the backfield here for Frostburg State. Boyce sees a lot of time at running back, H-back, tight end. Brown in motion. Play fake. Looking for Terrell Brown and incomplete. Scored on a similar action earlier this season on homecoming against Southern Virginia. However, the Bobcats unable to hook up there. You can see Cox a little bit frustrated with himself. He was on last week against Western New England, passing for a career-high 381 yards. This week, conditions a little bit worse. Malik Morris, number 1 receiver, unavailable today. See if the Bobcats can gut it out. Cox, handoff right side for Morant, scooting through the hole and dragging defenders with him. It's a gain of 9 on 2nd down for Jamal Morant. Jamal Morant, an all-NJAC guy, 2nd team each of the last 2 years at that running back spot. He just keeps churning out yardage. 3rd and 3 for Frostburg. Ball in the Hopkins 12. Cox will keep it. Stutter steps and looks to fall forward. It looks like he's going to be just short of that 1st down marker. He gets to the 10 on the keeper. Fourth and 1, and Fitzgerald turns to his field goal kicker. Bobcats trailing 12-10. This from Jeremy Harrison would put Frostburg State ahead. Now Harrison from 27. Kick is up. And kick is good. Jeremy Harrison, a couple of field goals here today from 20 and 27 yards. And that puts Frostburg State in front, 13-12. 5:57 to play in this first half. Bobcat offense drove from its own 34-yard line into the red zone and tipped the cap to this Hopkins defense. A lot of experienced players. And here, let's take a look at this 3rd down conversion. Bobcats facing a 3rd and 9. Cox able to evade one pass rusher, get up, fire it across, and Andino makes the catch despite taking the shot. And that sets up the field goal. So another big day here for Sergio Andino. 13-12 Bobcats, 5:57 to go, and Frostburg kicking away to Johns Hopkins. Again, Walters and Hubley back deep. Walters fields this one cleanly around his 5-yard line. Angling to the near sideline, and Michael Bell pulls him out of bounds. Teaming up there with Xavier Campbell for the special teams tackle. 5:50 to play in the second quarter, 13-12 Frostburg State. Johns Hopkins football at the JHU 30-yard line. Hopkins scored on its first drive and its third drive. However, they have punted. Its offense has punted each of the last 2 drives. Here is Tamero. Back to pass, throwing left. It is complete for a medium game here on first down. It is Emmett Turner, the tight end, with the reception. Turner, a big body at 6'4". And he'll pick up 7 on first down. And here is the tempo from Johns Hopkins. Inside handoff to Messenger. Breaks through 1 tackle. Messenger across midfield before he's caught from behind by Wayne Palmer. And 2 plays just like that, Hopkins into Bobcat territory. Blue Jays continuing to work with pace. 5:15 to play in the second quarter, 1st and 10. Hubley on the screen. Wrapped up by Thurman, but Hubley able to fall forward. Gain of about 4. Second down, ball on the Frostburg 45-yard line. 5 minutes to play in the first half. 13-12 Bobcats. Tamero, pump fakes. Goes deep the other way, looking for Mcfadden. And wow, Mcfadden, a fantastic catch along the sideline. Anthony Taylor draped all over him. And Mcfadden makes the catch. Wow. Able to keep the foot in bounds. And here is Hopkins into the red zone. 4:40 to play in the second quarter. Handoff to Messenger. Messenger untouched. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Johns Hopkins. And the Blue Jays take the lead right back, 18-13. Tyler Messenger, his second touchdown run of the day. And Hopkins, not even 2 minutes after the Bobcats score, come down and get another 6 points. 18-13. Hopkins has not yet actually kicked an extra point. They faked it twice and failed twice. Here is Mike Eberle. Eberle kicks this one, and it is good. 19-13. Let's take a look at the replay. Let's take a look at this catch from Luke Mcfadden to really set up this score. Tamero lofting it, and Mcfadden looks like a good catch to me. That right foot in bounds. Really good play, and then here's the touchdown scamper. No one is there, and Messenger cruises into the end zone, and Tyler Messenger entered this game needing 61 rushing yards to go over 1,000 in his career. He's got to be close to that at this point. And so 19-13 Blue Jays, 4:33 to play in the second quarter. The Bobcats get the football to start the second half, but Frostburg State would love to score here. I'll say this, the difference in this game so far, Hopkins 3 touchdowns, Frostburg a touchdown and 2 field goals. Bobcats have been in the red zone 3 times and have kicked 2 short field goals. Battle kicking it deep, or Battles, pardon me. Fielded by Terrell Brown. Brown across the 25 and falling forward. And the Bobcat offense was just on the field. However, Hopkins scored so quickly. Let's see what they can do this time around. 4:26 to go in the second quarter. First down for Frostburg State University. Ball on the Bobcat 29. It is 19-13 Johns Hopkins. Cox in the pistol with Jamal Morant behind him. Three-receiver set here for the Bobcats. The give is to Morant, able to dodge one tackler and fall forward. It's a gain of 3 yards. James Closser was quickly into the backfield. Morant able to evade him, but pick up a modest gain. Second down here for the Bobcats. And this is a Hopkins defense that is used to an offense that scores quickly. Hopkins, 28:05 average time of possession because of the offense's potency. As Cox sees a lane, picks up good yardage and scampers out of bounds. And it's enough for a Bobcat first down, evading Chris James, the corner. Whatever it takes, Connor Cox moves the sticks. And the field, it is getting warmer. As you can see, some of the ice melting out onto the field. Very slippery surface this morning. 1st and 10, Frostburg State. Inside handoff for Morant. He was hit initially by Anthony Davidson and then finished off by a couple of other Blue Jays. It's a modest gain of 2 yards. Clock continues to run down towards the 3-minute mark here in the second quarter. It is a 19-13 Johns Hopkins advantage. Cox in the shotgun. Play action. Looking for Ikubu over the middle. He makes the catch, and Ikubu is dragged down from behind by Macaulay Kilbane. Depends on the spot. Yes, it is a Frostburg first down. 1st and 10 Bobcats from the Hopkins 46, 2:54 to play in this second quarter. Hopkins leads at 19-13. NCAA playoffs, second round. 1 of 8 games going on today. Winner plays the winner of Brockport and RPI. Cox escaping pressure and a flag flies. And that is in the area of holding. So that may set the Bobcats back.
Near the 37-yard line, but there is a flag on the play.
So we'll see from our referee, Chip Bishop.
Holding offense. 67. Repeat. First down.
That is sophomore left tackle Gene Robinson, nailed for the hold. That'll set the Bobcats back 10 yards. Bobcats 3 all-conference players along that offensive line. O'Shane McCall at center, Joey Powell at right guard, and Riley Hartman at right tackle. Bobcats graduated 2 outstanding players from the left side of their line last year. Little screen here for Facey. And Facey does not get much. Closser, the first one to get his hands on him. At this point, 2nd and 17, just over 2 minutes to go. Bobcats may opt to keep the clock moving. We might see some timeouts used here by Hopkins if the Bobcats don't get much here on 2nd down. This is a lethal Johns Hopkins offense. 2nd and 17 Bobcats. Here is Cox looking for Teeter, who makes the catch near the original line of scrimmage. So it's a completion of 7 yards. That'll bring up a 3rd and 10 from the Hopkins 46. And here is Jim Margraf opting to use a timeout for Hopkins. And so Blue Jays looking to get a stop and give the offense one more chance to go up 2 scores. Bobcats, if the Bobcats can convert a first down, they won't have to give it back to the Blue Jays unless a touchdown really is scored. But to review for you, Hopkins led at 6-0 on a Tyler Messenger touchdown run on the first drive of the game. Bobcats responded with a 20-yard field goal by Jeremy Harrison to make it 6-3.
134 on the clock.
They'll reset the game clock to 1:34. Hopkins went ahead 12-3 at Luke Mcfadden's 37-yard touchdown catch with 6:45 to play in the first quarter. Bobcats drew within 2. Jamal Morant's 1-yard touchdown run with 12:34 to play in the second quarter. The Bobcats took a 1-point lead on Jeremy Harrison's 27-yard field goal. 5:57 to play in the second quarter. And then immediately thereafter, Tyler Messenger, a 19-yard touchdown run. And here we stand. Blue Jays 19, Bobcats 13. And it looks to be a 4-receiver set for the Bobcats here. 3rd and 10 from the Johns Hopkins 46-yard line. 19-13 Blue Jays. Cox back to pass. Has Andino. He's got to gain a few yards. And Andino, does he have enough? It'll depend on the spot. And they will give him the first down. A big conversion there to Sergio Andino. And another really solid day for Andino, back-to-back weeks here in the NCAA playoffs. Now Frostburg, not so much worried about giving the ball back to Hopkins. Let's see if the Bobcats can score. 1:18 to go, first quarter. Cox lofting it for Andino, and it's overthrown. Had Michael Curry on him. Incomplete. Bobcats missing the speed of Malik Morris, but several able receivers here behind him. Andino, Ikubu, Christian Thornton, Terrell Brown, all have seen time in this one. 2nd and 10 Bobcats, 1:13 to go in the second quarter. Hopkins by 6. Bobcats still well out of field goal range for Jeremy Harrison. And here is Cox once again. Inside, caught by Ikubu. Ikubu getting to the 25, and it's a first down. Clock will stop to move the sticks with 1:06 to play in the first half. Bobcats into the red zone for the 4th time today. Frostburg has scored 1 touchdown and kicked 2 short field goals. Under a minute to go, clock running. 1st and 10 from the Hopkins 24. Cox lofting for Brown. He's got him! Touchdown! Terrell Brown from Cox. And the Bobcats tie it at 19. 48 seconds to play in the first half. And for Terrell Brown, that is his 3rd touchdown catch of the season. And Harrison out on the field to give Frostburg a 20-19 lead. Kick is up. Kick is good. 48.9 seconds left. It is Frostburg 20, Johns Hopkins 19. Cox lofting. Terrell Brown able to race by Addison Quinones. Quinones, a very good player. First team All-Centennial in each of the last 2 seasons. But Terrell Brown, at 5'8", 175, that man can fly. And he's had a great year as a returner. He's all-conference as a return man. He was all-Centennial Conference last year as a return man. And he gets his chance here. And he puts the Bobcats in front 20-19.
Harrison set the kick for the Bobcats. Back deep for the Blue Jays, number 3, Ryan Hughley, and number 5.
2019 Bobcats. 48.9 seconds left. Kick coverage still very important here with the dangerous Stuart Walters back there. And Walters catches just inside the 10. Running left, wants to get outside, gets beyond Persichetti. Walters to the sideline. Walters out of bounds at midfield, and there you go. Hey, Hopkins, a chance to go score. 2 timeouts here for Johns Hopkins. 39.4 seconds left in this first half. The ball is marked at the Hopkins 48-yard line. Mike Eberle, the kicker for Hopkins, 2 of 9 on the season in field goals, as long as 32. So can the Bobcats keep Hopkins out of the end zone? And will Hopkins be willing to try a field goal? And the penalty goes against Tamero. So that'll move Hopkins back to the 43-yard line, 1st and 15. 39 seconds left in the half. Tamero, play action pass, pressured, lofts it to the sideline where it is incomplete. The Bobcats were after him. Carl Igwe, Zach Strand, Wayne Palmer, all in pursuit. So 32 and a half seconds left. Hopkins, a very potent offense. Ball in the JHU 43. 2nd and 15 here. Bobcats lead at 20-19. Tamero. He's going to keep it a quarterback draw. Left side, and he'll scamper out of bounds. Nice gain on the play. A little bit more of a manageable 3rd down here. Clock stops at 26.7 seconds left. Make the Bobcat pass rushers think about that as a possibility. That's that pass rush group on the field right now. Vital out there with Igwe and Strand. 26 seconds left, 3rd and 7 for Hopkins here in this first half. Frostburg leads 20-19. Tamero back to pass. It's a screen for Messenger. And Trevor Craig, a beautiful open field tackle. Craig, a first-year player out of Stuart Straff, Virginia, a 2-time NJAC Defensive Rookie of the Week, a sure-handed tackle. And a timeout has been called by Frostburg State. 20.3 seconds to go in this first half. Frostburg leads at 20-19. And the Bobcats on special teams this year. 2 punt returns for touchdowns, 3 blocked punts for touchdowns. In the NJAC this year, 10 touchdowns were scored on punt returns or punt blocks, 5 of them by the Bobcats. So this is a lethal unit. And again, Malik Morris is the premier punt blocker in the conference. Unfortunately, unavailable today, not dressed. But the Bobcats looking to execute under special teams coordinator Peter Mayer in his 7th season. Bobcats number 2 in the nation with 5 blocked punts on the season. So Frostburg State looking to get after it or set up a return. Both Terrell Brown and Lincoln Ikubu have punt return touchdowns in the season. Malik Morris, 2 punt block returns for a touchdown, and Thornton also returned a block punt for a touchdown. Bobcats having some trouble with terms of substitutions. And now here is Hong Dominguez. And a timeout has been called by Hopkins. So that was a chance for special teams coordinator Harrison Green for Johns Hopkins to get a look at what Frostburg was going to show. And now will Frostburg come out with the same look? Will Hopkins come out with the same look? Here's the chess match part of the game. I would say this first half has lived up to the billing, a 20-19 first half. Maybe not as high-flying offensively with the weather conditions as some may have expected, but nevertheless very competitive. Bobcats 10-0 on the season. Johns Hopkins 10-1. Blue Jays losing in week 2. And man, Johns Hopkins, Blue Jays get a bad rap for going out in the playoffs early. Each of the last 5 years, they've lost in the playoffs by 1 score. All 5 years, so it's always been close. Tamero back out on the field, 4th and 7 for Hopkins. Ball on the Frostburg 49. Will the Blue Jays go for it here? Tamero takes the snap, steps up in the pocket. He's going to run for it, and he converts the first down. David Tamero to the 40-yard line. Clock stops for the Chains, 13 seconds left. And so Hopkins, Eberle at 2 for 9 on the year in field goals, as long as 32. 4 of his misses are from 40+. So, maybe another 10, 20 yards. They'll try a long field goal, but this Hopkins offense is dangerous with playmakers all over the field. We've seen Mcfadden with a couple of contested catches. Messenger, 2 touchdown runs. And now the Bobcat defense not out of the woods yet in this final 15 seconds of this first half. Tamero, both Tamero and Cox doing it both the arm and the legs here today. First and 10, Johns Hopkins on the Frostburg 40-yard line. Frostburg leads 20-19, 13 seconds left in the first half. Tamero puts it out wide for Messenger. Messenger picks up a few yards and skips out of bounds. 7 seconds left. Ball's in the Frostburg 34. Will Hopkins get a shot or continue to position potentially for a long field goal? Blue Jays out of timeouts. Hopkins checking with the sideline, 10 seconds on the play clock. 7 seconds left in the first half. Tamero, back to pass, stepping up, Zach Strand! He's brought down, and that is how the first half will end. Zach Strand, the sack, and the Bobcats head to the break. Frostburg State 20, Johns Hopkins 19. We will have highlights and numbers for you when we come back from halftime. And here is the final play of the first half. All-in-Jack first-team defensive end Zach Strand, number 34 on your screen. Working against the right tackle, Petracco. Gets the job done, and that is how this first half will end. We will have highlights and numbers from that first half in about 18 minutes here. When we come back, it is Frostburg State 20, Johns Hopkins 19 on the Bobcat Sports Network. Back here at Bobcat Stadium, it is Frostburg State 20, Johns Hopkins 19 in this NCAA second-round matchup between the Bobcats and the Blue Jays. Let's take a look at some big highlights from that first half. All the important plays, you'll see them here. First play is the touchdown, 23-yard run by Tyler Messenger, his first of 2 touchdowns on the day. Extra point, no good on the fake for Johns Hopkins. Hopkins, after getting the football back from a 3-and-out, pass complete to the tight end Turner, but he loses the football, scooped up by Vinny Persichetti for the Bobcats. That leads to Frostburg State taking over inside of Johns Hopkins territory. And from there, the Bobcats on a big third down. Cox looking and finding Sergio Andino down inside the 10-yard line. However, the Bobcats would work their way inside the 5. Jamal Morant on third down is stuffed by the Hopkins front, and so Frostburg State has to settle for a field goal. 6-3 Hopkins over the Bobcats early on. This is the second score for Hopkins. A little bit of a strange play. The Bobcats at the line, not ready. Hopkins goes deep for it, and Mcfadden reels it in. That is a 37-yard touchdown reception. Bobcats the other way. This is a 4th and 1. It's converted by Jamal Morant to get inside of Johns Hopkins territory. Another 4th down. Cox rolls out to his left, has Sergio Andino, and he picks up the first. Later on in the second quarter, it leads to a Morant 1-yard touchdown run. Make it 12-10 Johns Hopkins. Bobcats, another 3rd down here in the second quarter. Cox evading pressure, looking and finding Sergio Andino, picking up the first down. That play sets up another field goal for Jeremy Harrison, this from 27 yards out to put up the Bobcats 13-12. However, nearly immediately after, Johns Hopkins responds. Tamero looking deep, hit as he throws, and a beautiful ball and an even better catch from Mcfadden. One play later, it's Messenger into the end zone for his second touchdown of the day. That puts Johns Hopkins up 19-13 with the extra point. And here is the final score of the first half. Connor Cox looking to the end zone. It's Terrell Brown, his 3rd touchdown catch of the season. So there you go. 20-19, an exciting first half between the Bobcats and Johns Hopkins. Some key numbers from that half. Frostburg State has held the football for 20 minutes and 24 seconds, while Hopkins has had the ball for 9:36. The Bobcats 3 for 3 in the red zone, but have settled for 2 field goals. Both teams well over 200 yards of offense. Hopkins 278 yards of total offense. Frostburg 263. Despite these conditions, it was freezing rain from late at night all the way up until this noon kickoff, and things have since warmed up. The rain has, at least for now, subsided. So a little bit better conditions. Hopkins, both Walters and Messenger are over 10 yards a carry. Messenger, 4 carries, 62 yards, 2 touchdowns. Messenger going over 1,000 yards in his career, the 27th Blue Jay to rush for 1,000 yards in their career. Congratulations to Tyler Messenger. Tamero, 10 for 14, 122 and a touchdown. Cox, 12 for 22, 148 and a touchdown. Pretty similar numbers. Cox rushing for 31 yards, Tamero rushing for 27. So, not the perfect conditions to air it out, but both teams really getting after it and competing here today. It's been fun for this first half. Frostburg 10-0, Johns Hopkins 10-1. We're getting set for the second half. The winner to meet the winner of RPI and Brockport. Start of the third, Brockport 13, RPI 7. Of course, if you're watching the D3 Bracket Blitz, you already know that. If you're watching on the Bobcat Sports Network, thanks for tuning in. Should be a good second half here between Frostburg State and Johns Hopkins. It'll be Hopkins kicking off to Frostburg as the Blue Jays had the first possession of this game. And no surprise this game is close, because in order to beat Johns Hopkins, you've got to beat them close. And an excellent note from the Hopkins Sports Information Department on the losses that Hopkins has had. In the last 5 seasons, Hopkins has lost a total of 7 games by 5 points, 3 points, 5 points, 7 points, 4, 3, and 2. That's 7 losses in 5+ seasons by a combined total of 29 points. So who executes late, who scores last may be the winner of this game. As Battles sends it away And Battles sends it out of bounds. So rather than have Terrell Brown run it back, he kicks it out of bounds, and Frostburg State will have solid starting field position to begin this second half. So kickoff out of bounds, Bobcats take over. 1st and 10 from the Frostburg 35-yard line. Frostburg held the football for 20 of 30 minutes in that first half. Picked up 14 first downs to 12 for Johns Hopkins. And the first play is a pass into the right flat for Teeter. And Teeter maybe picks up a yard. Teeter, a senior captain on this Bobcat team, along with Riley Hartman, Bocom Vital, and Draquan Reed. And so that'll bring up 2nd and 9 for the Bobcats. 14 and a half minutes to play in this third quarter. 20-19 Frostburg State. Cox adjusts his backs. He's now got split backs in the shotgun. Looks to Andino on the slant and incomplete. Coverage there provided by Chris James of Johns Hopkins. And quickly the Bobcats find themselves in a 3rd and long situation. 3rd and 9 from the Bobcat 36. 2019 Frostburg State 14-14 to play in the third. Bobcats were 4 of 10 on 3rd down in the first half. Blue Jays were 1 of 4. Here is Cox, 3rd and 9 with 3 receivers on the field. Looks long, now he's going to run with the football. Running left, he's going to keep it and is pushed out of bounds. Around the 42-yard line, still a good 3 yards shy of the first down. And the punt team, Keegan Schimmelman, onto the field. And the Bobcats go 3 and out to begin this second half. The kickoff out of bounds for Hopkins does not hurt the Blue Jays. And JHU looking to get the football back, trailing 20-19. Schimmelman to kick it. Zach Fernandez to return. And Schimmelman blasts it away, angles it to the right. Takes a Bobcat bounce. Well done, Keegan Schimmelman inside the 5 and trickling out of play. Very well executed by the sophomore punter, Keegan Schimmelman. And Hopkins will have a long, long way to go here in the Blue Jays' first drive of the second half. 13:27 to play in the third quarter. Johns Hopkins football on the Hopkins 5-yard line. Worst starting field position of the day for Hopkins, who's had pretty good field position all day. 1st and 10 here for Tamero. Looking to pass, looking in the left flat. He's got Hubley, met by Taylor as well as Wayne Palmer. That's an effective play on first down to pick up a good 6 yards. And Hopkins continuing to work with pace offensively back to the line. Another shotgun formation here for Tamero. Stewart with him in the backfield. Stewart takes the handoff, breaks through one tackle, and is brought down from behind. And Walters picks up the first down. First and 10 for the Jays. Ball on the Johns Hopkins 15. Frostburg leads the Blue Jays 20-19, 12:40 to play in the third. Shotgun formation here for Tamero. Play action pass, pressured in the pocket. He's going to break free and run for it across the 30-yard line, and he slides down. David Tamero had 27 yards rushing in the first half, a long of 18. And he takes off again against this Bobcat pass rush. And Tamero known for his arm, but getting it done with his legs here today. 1st and 10, Hopkins from the Frostburg 31. Tamero keeps it again. Open field, falls forward. Back-to-back first downs here for David Tamero. Again, weather conditions aren't great. Freezing rain late last night all the way through kickoff. Rain has turned into regular rain as the temperature has risen. 1st and 10 Hopkins. Ball in the Blue Jay 44, under 12 minutes to go, third quarter. Walters breaks one tackle, spins out of another, and Vital brings him down after a gain of 4. Hopkins has not had trouble moving the football. 278 yards of total offense on just 30 plays in that first half. Bobcats ran 18 more plays and gained 15 fewer yards. This is an explosive group. Messenger inside. Messenger into the open field. Messenger to the near sideline, stays in bounds, and Tyler Messenger from 48 yards out. His 3rd touchdown of the day, and Hopkins leads 25-20. Tyler Messenger having a day, entering today with 4 rushing touchdowns. He's got 3 on the afternoon, that one from 48 yards out. (25-20) Johns Hopkins, 11:10 to play in the third. Hopkins offense will stay on the field to go for 2, as they have failed twice in that regard. Tamaro, Messenger going with him into the backfield. Tamaro will keep it, and he will waltz in for 2. 27-20, Johns Hopkins, 11:10 to play in the third. Let's take a look at the touchdown run, the 3rd of the day for Messenger. Doesn't look like anyone gets a hand on him. And then the speed to get outside. And then he scampers his way down the sideline. A heck of a day for the senior, Tyler Messenger. Went over 1,000 yards rushing in his career. He is now over 100 on the day. And last week, a 49-yard touchdown run. Give him a 48-yard run this week. So the Blue Jays strike first in the second half and take a 7-point lead over the Bobcats. It's now on Frostburg State to respond, as Kyle Battles set to kick it deep once again. Handled by Brown inside the 5. Brown looking to get out wide, chased by a sea of white jerseys. Stays on his feet and out of bounds across the 35. A nice return there for Terrell Brown. And the Bobcats will set up shop 1st and 10 with 11 minutes to play in this third quarter. Frostburg State football on the FSU 36-yard line. Bobcats 3 and out on their first drive of this second half. Let's see what they can do here. Cox, the handoff to Terrell Brown. On the jet sweep, a gain of about 2 yards to get the drive going. Second down here for Frostburg as the personnel turns over. 3 receivers on the field for the Bobcats as Indino and Christian Thornton check into the game. No safeties back for Hopkins. Now they shift as the Bobcats get their play. Cox, left side, has Teeter. Teeter with the reception and the first down and is forced out by Addison Quinones. First down for Frostburg. Bobcats move the chains. 10-16 to play in the third quarter. 27-20 Johns Hopkins. And the football is on the ground. Hopkins says they have it, and they do. A big play. Johns Hopkins takes over. As that football never reached Connor Cox.
Fumble on the play, recovered by the Blue Jays.
And now a very dangerous stretch here for this Bobcat defense. It is a sudden change situation. Johns Hopkins football. And that ball never had a chance to get back to Cox. Maybe O'Shane McCall thought he was under center. Johns Hopkins football at the Frostburg 47. Tamero back to pass underneath. Well contested catch there by Hubley. Ryan Hubley, 5'7", and an all-Centennial Conference first teamer last year. Led the Centennial Conference in catches with 64 coming into this game. It's a 4-yard gain on first down. 27-20 Hopkins. Blue Jays with the football in Frostburg territory, 2nd and 6 on the Bobcat 43. Tamero in the shotgun. Throwing left has Hubley underneath. And he'll gain another 4 or 5 yards. They'll give him a really generous spot and give him 6 yards and a first down. First and 10 Blue Jays on the Frostburg 37, 27-20 Hopkins. Play fake to Messenger. Tamero rolls out, throws over the middle, and in and out of the hands, Harrison Wellman. That's a drop for the freshman. He was open. Bobcats butting hard on the play action to Messenger. 3 touchdowns on the ground already today. And Wellman was open, unable to make the grab. Wellman, 2 touchdowns last week against MIT. 2nd and 10 for the Blue Jays. Another give to Messenger. He's untouched through the line. Messenger is dragged down, but not before another first down carry for the senior. Tyler Messenger, an outstanding day as the clock continues to run. Another give to Messenger. Messenger inside the 10, inside the 5, and brought down by Thurman. We do have a flag near the line of scrimmage. We'll hear from Chip Bishop.
Offside, defense, number 34, decline.
Zach Strand was offside, and all of a sudden, Hopkins inside the red zone. First and goal for the Jays from the 2-yard line. 27-20 Hopkins, 8:40 to play in this third quarter. Tamero in the shotgun. Tamero keeping it out wide. Pursued, and he's in the end zone. Touchdown, David Tamero. And Johns Hopkins takes a 33-20 lead here in the third. A pair of third quarter touchdowns for the Blue Jays. David Tamero, a 2-yard touchdown run. He's known for his arm, but he's been getting it done with his legs here today. And the extra point is up. And it is good by Eberle. 34-20 Hopkins. And Messenger has been gashing the Bobcats. Tamero will fake the give to Messenger. And then outrun everyone to the corner. Here we are, 8:30 to go, third quarter. It is a 2-score lead, 34-20, Hopkins over the Bobcats. Big drive here for this Frostburg State offense, which has gone 3 and out and then turned the football over on its first 2 drives of the second half. As back deep to return for Frostburg State, it is Brown and Kayvon Carter. To beat this Hopkins team, you're probably going to need 30, 40 points. Right now, 34-20 Blue Jays. As it is battles to kick it deep. Terrell Brown fields it at the 4-yard line. Running left. Loses the football, and it's out of bounds. And so Frostburg State will take over from its own 22-yard line. 8:22 to go in the third. And this is a critical moment in this game for this Bobcat offense. 3 seniors on the offensive line, 2 seniors in the backfield, a senior at quarterback and a senior at receiver, a senior at tight end. This group, plenty of big moments this season. Montclair, Wesley, Salisbury, and now they find themselves down 2 scores. Cox rolling right, throwing for Andino, who makes the catch around the 30-yard line. It's a gain of 8 yards on first down. Still a lot of time left in this game, over 8 minutes to play in the third. Bobcats working with a lot of pace here offensively. 2nd and short, 2nd and 1 for the Bobcats. Everyone within 7 yards of the line of scrimmage for Hopkins, as both safeties up in the box. Cox back to pass, lofting it deep for Andino, and that pass intercepted by Macaulay Kilbane. Cox looking for Andino. Andino jockeying for a call, and Kilbane, the all-conference first-team cornerback, comes up with the interception. It is his 3rd of the season. And here we go. Look at everyone up near the line of scrimmage. Cox wants to take a shot. Looking right, and Kilbane right in position, and he makes the play. .43 is the line of scrimmage, and a first down carry for Messenger. Gain of about 6 yards. And moving quickly with pace is this Hopkins offense. 2 plays, 10 yards, and it's first down. Rogerson, his first catch of the day. 1st and 10 Hopkins, 7:20 to go, 3rd quarter. Keeping it is Tamaro, and he is dragged down from behind. Avery Thurman in the backfield. And Frostburg State defensively needs a big stop, and really the story of this game, turnovers here in the 3rd quarter, 2 for the Bobcats. And that's an area Frostburg came in plus 12, while Hopkins came in just plus 2 on the season. This Bobcat defense has not had to deal with a lot of sudden change. Let's see how they do here. 2nd and 11, Tamaro has time, complete to Mcfadden. Mcfadden, open field, 20, 10, breaks a tackle, and he is in. Touchdown. Johns Hopkins. It is a 21-point 3rd quarter. Make it 40-20 Hopkins. 6:35 to go in the 3rd. Luke Mcfadden, a long touchdown. Extra point, Eberle. Up and good. This is a 51-yard touchdown. Mcfadden on the bottom of your screen. And Tamaro has Mcfadden between 2 tacklers, and Craig and Anthony Taylor both unable to make the tackle. Thurman gets a shot at him late, but a touchdown for Mcfadden, make it 41-20. Johns Hopkins, 6:35 to go in the 3rd. Make that 22 unanswered points here for Hopkins to begin the 2nd half. Blue Jays defense came into today No takeaways in the last 3 games. Give them 2 here in the third quarter. And that leads directly to 14 Johns Hopkins points. Battles kicking it away. Terrell Brown fielding inside the 5. Angling right. And is tripped up and brought down just short of the 20. They'll give him the 20. 6:27 to go. Frostburg State first and 10. 6:27 to go in the third quarter. It is 41-20. Johns Hopkins. This was a 2019 Frostburg lead at the end of 2 quarters, and the Blue Jays have dominated this second half. Ball spotted at the Bobcat 20-yard line. Cox the handoff to Morant on first down, and he is gobbled up. A very nice tackle made there by Mike Kalanick. Junior out of Chicago, has having a really good year. All-Centennial second team, was a first-team guy last year, an all-region guy last year. And he gets the tackle for loss. He entered today with 15.5 in that category. 2nd and 11 Bobcats, 6 to play here in this third quarter. Whistles and flags. It'll be a false start against the Bobcats. It is Riley Hartman on the false start, so that'll push Frostburg State back 5 yards. 41-20, Johns Hopkins, 5:55 to play in the third quarter. 2nd and 16 for Frostburg on its own 14-yard line. Cox rolling to his right, launching deep, and overthrown Ikubu. There have been several misconnections on some of those loose plays, broken plays for the Bobcats. That is where Connor Cox and this Frostburg offense feasts. And so that'll bring up 3rd and a mile, 3rd and 16 for Frostburg State. Cox in the shotgun. Evades one tackler. Runs back to the left side, looking for a target downfield. And that is in between Andino and Ikubu. And the punt team out on the field. You hate to say it, but this Bobcat offense really looks like it's missing Malik Morris, who went over 1,000 yards in the season last week. And he's unavailable for today. And so the Bobcats to punt here. 4th and 16 from the Bobcat 14. Fernandez back deep for Hopkins. Schimmelman gets it off and puts it out of bounds. So it'll be a 1st and 10 for this Johns Hopkins offense in very good field position. 5:21 to play in the third, and this third quarter has been a nightmare for this Frostburg State football team, unfortunately. Hopkins starts in Frostburg territory at the Frostburg 46-yard line. Hopkins, 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns. The Bobcats, a punt, a fumble, an interception, and a punt here in this third quarter. And there's still 5:21 to play in the frame. 41-20, Johns Hopkins. Blue Jays football, ball on the Bobcat 46-yard line. Tamero, the give for Messenger. Messenger through the line, left side. And he gets inside the 20-yard line. It's a chunk play to pick up the first down. And the Bobcats, no answer for Tyler Messenger today. A fantastic outing for the senior out of New Jersey. 1st and 10 from the Bobcat 19. Tamero back to pass, back shoulder throw. It's complete into the end zone. Touchdown, Dane Rogerson. A 19-yard strike, a beautiful back shoulder throw. It is 47-20, Johns Hopkins. Dane Rogerson, a 19-yard touchdown catch. 4:49 to play in this third quarter. Make that the fourth touchdown of the quarter for Johns Hopkins. Extra point up and good. Let's take a look at this back shoulder throw from Tamero. Rogerson to the left of the line. Tamero, that's a beautiful ball against Stacy Watts, and Rogerson reels it in and into the end zone. So Tamero has run for a touchdown, tossed two more, and Tyler Messenger 3 touchdown runs on the day. And many expected this game to be a shootout. Blue Jays sitting on 48 here in the third. Bobcats this third quarter has not been a good one. And set to kick deep, it is Kyle Battles. Make it 29 unanswered for the Jays here in this third quarter. And Battles to send it away. Brown fields it from his own 1-yard line. Throws back again to Kayvon Carter. And Carter not quite to the 25. So 4:37 to play, third quarter. Bobcat football on the 25. And for Frostburg State, you're down 4 scores here. It needs to be scores and stops for the Bobcats if they want to win this football game. Cox, handoff left side for Morant. Morant, a nice carry of about 5 yards on first down. However, the clock works against Frostburg State from here on out. Down 4 scores, so pace is necessary. Cox again in the pistol. Another handoff to Morant into the middle, and he'll pick up another 4 yards or so. With a favorable spot, they'll give them a first down. Indeed, they do, so they'll stop the clock. 4:07 to play in the third to move the chains. 1st and 10 Bobcats from the Frostburg 35, 48-20. Johns Hopkins. Hopkins, 29 unanswered points here in the third quarter. Cox, play action pass. Evades one rusher. Rolling out. Looking to pass, there's a flag on the play, and he slips out of bounds. So we'll wait and see on this flag.
Holding, offense, 67. Repeat, first down.
Another holding penalty whistled against Gene Robinson, the Bobcat left tackle. So make it 1st and 20. From the FSU 25, 3:43 to play in the third quarter. Cox, little option here to the left, and he'll keep for about 5-6 yards. 3.5 to go in the third. 2nd and 14 for FSU. Bobcats have not gotten into Johns Hopkins territory here in the second half. As Cox looking to pass it, throwing for Andino, and Andino incomplete. Flag comes late as Ryan Weed was in coverage. And I could see that going against Andino as much as it could go against Weed, so we'll wait and see. From Chip Bishop. Oh, looks like it's going to go against Hopkins.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 32. First down.
Weed and Andino were jockeying for position, and Weed committing the pass interference. So 1st and 10. For the Bobcats, ball in the FSU 46. 2:57 to play in the third. It's 48-20 Johns Hopkins. Cox to pass. Cox lofting it deep for Thornton. Thornton reels it in! And he's down inside the 5, Christian Thornton. A big catch, and the Bobcats hustling to the line. Everything needs to be urgent here for Frostburg State, down 4 scores. 1st and goal from the 5 for the Bobcats. Trailing 48-20, 2.5 to go in the third. Cox for Morant inside. Morant gains a few. Down to the 3. Clock continues to run. Bobcats, 2 tight ends on the field. Twin receivers to the left. 2 minutes to go in the third. 2nd and goal from the 3. Cox rolls left. He's going to tuck it and run. And he flips it in the end zone, but too high for Ikubu. So 3rd and 3. And so the Bobcats in that first half settled for two very short field goals, 20 and 27 yards. Here we go, 3rd and 3 from the Johns Hopkins 3. Cox, little option here for Morant. Morant caught in the backfield and dropped in the backfield. I believe Michael Curry came up and made the play there for Hopkins. And you're down 28 points here in the third quarter. The Bobcats will stay on the field. Fourth and goal. Cox rolling right. Comes back left. And he is sacked. Sacked in the backfield by Robert Fletcher. And the Bobcats will get nothing. So a turnover on downs inside the Hopkins 5. And in 4 red zone trips today, the Bobcats have 1 touchdown, 2 field goals, and a turnover on downs. Here's the replay here for the 4th down play. Cox, nothing left, comes back right, and he's tripped up. Robert Fletcher, the freshman, that is a big-time play. And Hopkins takes over 1:09 to play in the third from the Hopkins 5-yard line. And they're going to air it out deep for Mcfadden. Mcfadden reels it in, and he's in play. What a catch. Luke Mcfadden down the right sideline. And it is all working for Johns Hopkins in this third quarter. Luke Mcfadden Tyler Messenger, a couple of seniors having outstanding days. It's Messenger carrying the football here, and again he breaks loose for a first down. Under a minute to go in this third quarter, and Johns Hopkins still moving the football in the third. Here is Tamero again, shotgun snap. Messenger again through the line, and Messenger, another first down run. Final 35 seconds of the third quarter. And for this Johns Hopkins team, they'll let the clock run out on the third, and this has been a masterpiece of a quarter for the Blue Jays. 29 points for Johns Hopkins, 2 takeaways, and a turnover on downs in the red zone defensively for the Blue Jays. And for the Bobcats, potentially the worst quarter of the year by a huge margin. Huge days for Tyler Messenger, 182 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns for Johns Hopkins. Luke Mcfadden, 5 catches for 164 and 2 touchdowns. And this was a 20-19 Frostburg State lead at halftime, and it has been all Johns Hopkins here in the second half. Give a lot of credit for the Blue Jays, and this is a team that, for being 10-1, really fell off the radar here in the Division III landscape. Fell out of the top 25 for the first time in years. First time since 2011 after an early loss to Susquehanna, but they have been dominant since that point. Closest game being the Muhlenberg game, a 27-16 win for Hopkins, a game in which the Blue Jays led 21-0. And here we go, fourth quarter. It is 48-20 Johns Hopkins as Tamero once again in the shotgun. Back to pass, firing right over Mcfadden. He nearly had that one. And the day that he's been having, you wouldn't be surprised to bring him down. He's had a couple of beautiful sideline receptions. And as I've said it, Messenger, 9 carries for 182 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns. Mcfadden, 5 catches for $164 and 2 scores. 2 just absolute breakout performances. Tamero needs, at 247 yards, needs another 17 to set Johns Hopkins' single-season passing record. Here is Messenger, and for maybe the first time all day, he is bottled up. And so nothing doing there on second down. Clock continues to run as we're in the first 30 seconds here of this fourth quarter. 48-20 Johns Hopkins. The third quarter was a 29-0 Johns Hopkins frame. David Tamero, 3rd and 10 from the Bobcat 31-yard line. He'll keep it, and he is tripped up. Nothing doing there for Tamero. Paul Kumpar in on the action. And Hopkins not in a rush to send the punt team out. They're up 28 points. They'll keep the offense on the football field. 4th and 10 from the Bobcat 31-yard line. Four receiver set for Tamero. Back to pass. Rolling to his right, pursued by Strand. And he is tackled out of bounds by Trevor Craig. And that late hit will give Johns Hopkins an automatic first down, unfortunately. Trevor Craig, the first-year linebacker in the area. And they'll talk it over. Other scores, RPI leads Brockport 14-13. That game also late in the third. Muhlenberg from the Centennial Conference putting it to Randolph-Macon 35-6. Centennial Conference may have two teams in the quarterfinals, as we're going to hear our call from Chip Bishop potentially.
After the play was over, late hit out of bounds on number 56 move, but it'll be first down, Frostburg. First and 10.
All right, so Johns Hopkins was out of bounds, failed to convert the fourth down, and then there was a late hit out of bounds. And so the Bobcats will be backed up to begin this drive here in the fourth. So 13:30 to go. Fourth quarter. Frostburg State football from the Bobcat 16. Cox out of the shotgun, hands to Morant. He'll pick up a yard, and this Hopkins defense has really tightened up.
Morant on the carry. Into the yard after the 17, second.
Season low for Frostburg State in terms of points, 24 at Montclair State earlier this season. Bobcats would need a touchdown sometime in this quarter to top that. Cox over the middle for Thornton, and a nice short-handed tackle in the open field there by Ryan Weed for Hopkins. Under 13 to go in regulation, and it is third down for the Bobcats. 3rd and 11 after Thornton loses a pair of yards on that reception. Twelve and a half to go, fourth quarter, 48-20, Johns Hopkins. Cox lofting it left for Andino, who makes the catch and is dragged down, not before converting another Frostburg State first down. And the Bobcats hurry to the line of scrimmage, which is now the Frostburg 35. 1st and 10. Inside handoff to Morant. And Morant does not get much. Modest gain on the first down carry. 2nd and 8 for the Bobcats. Cox eluding pressure. Breaks one tackle and flings it for the sideline. Pass is caught by Lincoln Ikubu on the sideline. And Ikubu inside the 20. And Ikubu lost his mouth guard, but makes the play. However, the Bobcats in the red zone not been great today. 4 trips, 1 touchdown, 2 field goals, and a turnover on downs. And here is Cox in the shotgun. Ball on the Hopkins 18. Cox looks right, throws to the end zone. Thornton, touchdown! Christian Thornton, a 19-yard catch. And the Bobcats score for the first time here in the second half. And that is with 11:08 to play in the fourth. 48-26, Johns Hopkins. That is up and good. So make it 48-27 Blue Jays. This is Cox looking right, has Thornton on the post, and just slips right in front of Macaulay Kilbane. Nice catch on his part. Christian Thornton, his 3rd touchdown of the season. So Terrell Brown catches his 3rd touchdown of the year, as does Christian Thornton. And the Bobcats set to kick it away. It is a 3-score deficit, 48-20. Hopkins leads the Bobcats, 11:08 to play in the fourth. Frostburg needs to be immaculate from here on out. It would be great to have that red zone touchdown late in the third. However, It was a turnover on downs. Robert Fletcher, a sack on 4th down for the Blue Jays. And so here we are. Jeremy Harrison to kick off. Per usual, it is Walters and Hubley back deep. Harrison angles it right, and a fair catch is caught by Johns Hopkins' Finn Zeckman at the 29-yard line. So, Bobcat defense looking to get off the field and give the ball back to the offense. It's a 3-score deficit. 11:08 to play in the 4th. It is a Johns Hopkins football, 1st and 10 from the Blue Jays' 29-yard line. Here is Tamaro. Handoff for Walters. That's still a good gain of about 5 yards on 1st down. Oh, they'll give him 4. 2nd and 6. Clock continues to run here for Johns Hopkins. Now the Blue Jays work with a lot of pace, but here looking to run some time. Tamaro for Walters. And Walters back to the line, but maybe not much more. Give him a yard. 3rd down. This is the play right here for the Bobcat defense to get the ball back or potentially give up another couple of minutes to this Hopkins offense. An interesting call here. Timeout by the Bobcats. Now this really is a we make the stand now statement from Delane Fitzgerald to use his timeout so early. Down 3 scores. And there's not much to say other than the defense needs to get off the field here. 48-27. Blue Jays. 3rd down and 6 for Johns Hopkins on its own 34-yard line. Tamaro in the gun with Walters. Tamaro, some pressure coming from the Bobcats. Kumpar chasing. Tamaro looking to get outside, and he is just short of the sticks. So the Bobcat defense gets the stop. Tamaro is out of bounds. Clock stops. So Frostburg, the offense will get it back. Down 3 scores. Clock running here as we're going to dip under 10 minutes to go in regulation. Terrell Brown back deep to return. Hong Dominguez, the punter. And the Bobcats are offside on the punt. And it is another mistake.
Punt will be down at the 15-yard line, but there is a flag on the play. Offside. Defense. 46. Result. 1st down.
Justin Leach, the linebacker on special teams, was offside, and that will extend this drive for Johns Hopkins. It burns the timeout for the Bobcats, and then the time from the play still comes off the clock. So 9:36 to play in the 4th. And it is a 1st down for Johns Hopkins. 1st and 10 from the Blue Jay 41. Tamaro, the inside handoff to Messenger. And boom, there's 6 yards. Frostburg State has not lost a home game since Wesley last year in overtime. The Bobcats have only lost one home game since the start of the 2016 season. Won 17 out of the last 18 here at Bobcat Stadium, but down 21 here in the fourth. 2nd and 4 here for Tamaro. Hand off to Messenger. And Messenger picks up the 4th down. And he's got to be close to 200 yards now. Tyler Messenger, just a career day. Great time to have it in the NCAA playoffs, the 2nd round matchup here. Johns Hopkins, number 14 in the country. Frostburg State, number 6. Bobcats undefeated, but 8.5 minutes to go. And yes, Messenger, 216 yards on the ground. That is a Johns Hopkins postseason record. He is the first Blue Jay in Hopkins football history to rush for over 200 in a game on the ground. As Stuart Walters on the carry, picks up 3 yards. Clock continues to run as we tick down to 8 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. 2nd and 7 it is to Tamaro. And they snap it. They'll do the same thing as we saw Mcfadden's touchdown, and incomplete. Well, that's a wrinkle from Hopkins where everyone's looking at the sideline and the ball just gets snapped anyway. And it worked for a score early. So 3rd and 7 for Hopkins. 7:45 to go in the 4th. Ball on the Frostburg 40. 48-27 Blue Jays. Handoff is to Walters, and he is stacked up. Matt Meyer and Walter Riley in on the stop.
No gain on the play. 4th and 7 from the 40.
And so now, perhaps we see the punt team from Hopkins, still a 21-point lead. And yes, Hong Dominguez and company out and onto the field. Clock will run under 7 minutes to play in this 4th quarter by the time this punt is sent away. Terrell Brown back deep to return. Hong Dominguez gets it off. Angles it right, and it is down at the 1 yard line. Excellent special teams play from Johns Hopkins. And it is down at the 1. Dawson Eichholz does the job on the coverage team. So FSU football. However, a long, long way to go. 6:50 left to play in the 4th. Ball in the Frostburg 1. Bobcats trail 48-27. Bobcats need to score 3 times in the final 6 minutes and 50 seconds. And here they'll start from their own end zone. Cox in the gun, 3 receivers set. It is Ikubu in motion. Cox lofting it long for Andino, and Andino reels it in. First down, Frostburg. Another big day for Sergio Andino. Before that catch had 101 yards receiving. And it is a 23-yard gain. Frostburg again out of the shotgun. Here is Cox. Cox gets it off, intercepted. It is Robert Fletcher, left side inside the 10 and down to the 5. Cox is intercepted by Robert Fletcher, the Centennial Conference Rookie of the Year. And that may be the nail in the coffin. Hopkins inside the Frostburg 5 to begin this drive, leading 48-27.
Return to the 5-yard line where the Blue Jays will have it 1st and goal.
And Cox under pressure, looking for Teeter, getting it off, and there was Robert Fletcher, freshman out of California. Having a great year and an exclamation point on his game. He also had a 4th down stop in the red zone. And Tamero, the handoff to Messenger. Messenger will not get in the end zone for a 4th time today on that 1st down carry. And for Frostburg State, coming into this football game, 13 giveaways all season. Frostburg had won the turnover battle in 7 of 10 games and had been even in the turnover margin in the other 3 games. And the Bobcats turn it over 3 times here in the second half. 2 interceptions and a fumble. Second and goal from the 4 for Johns Hopkins. 5:45 to go in the 4th. Handoff to Messenger. And Messenger will waltz in a 4-yard touchdown run for Tyler Messenger. And it is his day. Tyler Messenger, a phenomenal performance. His 4th rushing touchdown of the afternoon. Over 200 yards on the day. Make it 54-27 Johns Hopkins.
Kick is good, and your new score. Johns Hopkins
55-27. This was a 20-19 Frostburg State game at halftime. Here is the replay. And Messenger not really touched. Hasn't been touched much on this one. Messenger, 16 carries for 231 yards and 4 touchdowns. As Hopkins has rolled up 374 yards on the ground, another 247 in the air. This is the #1 total offense in the nation. And you're looking at another game extending a school record, the 6th game this season for JHU with over 600 yards of total offense. 55-27 Johns Hopkins, final 5:37 of regulation. It was a 1-point Frostburg State lead at halftime, and in the second half it is all Johns Hopkins as that one is put into the end zone by Kyle Battles. And so it is a Frostburg State football. 5:37 left in the 4th. Ball in the Bobcat 25. Shotgun formation here for Connor Cox. He's got Boyce with him in the backfield. Cox back to pass. Looking deep, he'll take the check down here for Boyce. Boyce running with the football. Fletcher gets a hand on him. Closser finishes the job. It's enough for a Bobcat 1st down. However, Johns Hopkins working with a 28-point lead. Cox back to pass, rolling to his left. Pursued from behind by Roberts. Pass tipped at the line, brought in with one hand, but he was out of bounds. Robert Fletcher nearly had another one. So that'll bring up 2nd and 10. 5:02 to play in the 4th. It is 55-27 Johns Hopkins. And Tyler Messenger setting all sorts of Hopkins postseason records. Most rushing yards in a game, most rushing touchdowns in a postseason game as Cox rolls to his left. Passes high. Thornton brings it in. And it's a gain of about 6 or 7. Final 5 minutes of regulation here from Bobcat Stadium. 55-27, Johns Hopkins. Cox. Pressured. Rolling left. Firing down the sideline for Thornton. And he gets mixed up with Macaulay Kilbane. No flag, no call either way. And it'll be fourth down. Fourth and 3. And the Bobcat offense will stay out there. 4:27 left in the fourth. 55-27. Blue Jays. Fourth down passes behind Christian Thornton. And so it is a turnover on downs. Blue Jays take over. 4:22 left in the fourth. Hopkins a chance to salt this one away, run out the rest of the clock, and advance to the NCAA quarterfinal for the first time since 2009 and just the second time in school history. Hopkins has been in the playoffs constantly. 8 straight, but they have not been in the quarterfinals in any year of those 8 years. One of just 3 teams to make the playoffs in the last 8 straight years, along with Mount Union and Mary Hardin Baylor. And a first down carry here for Fernandez. And he gets strung out and tackled for no gain.
No gain on the play. Second down and 10 for the Blue Jays.
So clock continues to run. 4 minutes to go in this one. A lot of reserves out there. Nick Leongas in at quarterback. Fernandez in at running back. A lot of reserves out there. So Leongas. Hand off to Fernandez. And Fernandez through the hole. Fernandez to the 30. Cuts it outside. He picks up the first down and is finally brought down inside the Bobcat 25. And Johns Hopkins, in terms of rushing yards, has been able to run all over this Bobcat defense. We are getting close to 400 yards on the ground. That puts Johns Hopkins at 398 yards rushing. And we knew this Hopkins team was good on the ground, over 200 yards per game. You heard all about the passing game. Number 1 total offense in the nation. Number 4 in passing offense. And they've been able to get it done on the ground. Here is Fernandez again. Nope, it's kept by the quarterback, Leongas. And Leongas a modest gain. We're under 3 minutes to go in regulation, 55-27. Be sure to look out for the press conferences from both teams. We'll have them on the Frostburg State YouTube page. We'll hear from Coach Fitzgerald as well as Coach Margraf after this one. And it was a game, 20-19 at halftime, a Bobcat lead, but a 29-point run in the third quarter for Johns Hopkins really decided this one. Another inside handoff for Avery Foster. And it is a short game, if anything, as we'll tick down inside the final 2 minutes. Just the second time Frostburg State and Johns Hopkins has met on the football field. Hopkins winning 24-21 back in an ECAC bowl game in 2004. The first playoff game played by Johns Hopkins in football history. And here Hopkins, much like the 2009 team, had to go on the road to get to the quarterfinals. That 2009 Hopkins team won at number 10 Thomas More. And this 2018 team is going to get a win here at Frostburg as Leongas tries the left side. Not much there. Fourth down with the final 90 seconds in regulation. Still ticking away. 1:20 left to play. And Hopkins will send out the field goal team. Kyle Battles, Mike Eberly. Just another attempt on the year. He's only 2 for 9 in the season, as long as 32. 4 of his misses are from 40 plus. So Eberly a rep here from 39. How about that? Up and good. 39-yard field goal by Mike Eberly. With 50 seconds left, make it 58-27. Johns Hopkins. And you want to talk about a competitive game in the first half. But in the second half, a 39-7 run here by Johns Hopkins. And for the Bobcats, the season will end here in the second round of the Division III NCAA playoffs. Frostburg State 10-0 for the first time in school history. The Bobcats making the postseason 3 consecutive years for the first time in school history. The Bobcats 31 wins over a 3-year stretch, 4 more than the next best stretch in school history. It has been a fantastic run here for Frostburg State, and they will exit Division III after this year and join the Mountain East Conference in Division II. But this is how the 2018 season will end. A spectacular year for Frostburg State, a memorable year in many ways, as that kickoff is angled to the right, and it will be a touchback. Bobcats with the football. Final 50 seconds from the FSU 25. Just an outstanding performance here today by Johns Hopkins in the second half to pick up the win. Hopkins rolls up nearly 650 yards of total offense. Exactly 400 yards rushing on nearly 9 yards a carry as a team. And Connor Cox will lead this offense out for the final time in his career. It has been a fantastic career for him. He will end as the Bobcats' all-time leader in yards, touchdowns, and completions at the quarterback position as he finds Lincoln Ikubu enough to pick up a first down. Bobcats will lose 3 outstanding offensive linemen, 3 all-conference guys, O'Shane McCall at center, Joey Powell at right guard, and Riley Hartman at right tackle. They'll lose a senior captain, Noah Teeter, at tight end. 2 outstanding running backs, Jamal Morant and Grayson Boyce, both who are all-conference this season. As unfortunately, we have a Hopkins player down. Sergio Andino, 2 of his best games here as a senior, coming in the playoffs. His final appearance for the Bobcats after setting the single-season touchdown record a season ago. And for Hopkins, that is Nick Seidel. Looks to be okay, able to walk off the field. And the Bobcat defense, not as many seniors. Bocam Vital, Draquan Reed are 2. But a lot coming back, especially on that defensive side of the ball with so much turnover from last year's defensive group. Final 32 seconds of regulation. We're still waiting to hear from our officials here. As I said before, look out for YouTube and on your respective schools. Recap of the game. We'll have the press conference for you coming post-game. And it'll be Hopkins moving to the quarterfinals for just the second time in school history. They'll play the winner of RPI and Brockport. I'll see if I can get that score for you. As Cox looks deep for Thornton. Thornton, and in and out of the hands. A drop. And it has been a tough day for the Bobcats. Offensively, 27 points, the second lowest all season. RPI is beating Brockport right now, so had the Bobcats won this game, and RPI wins, it would have been here in the quarterfinal. However, Hopkins is the one with the eyes on the score. If RPI wins, the game will likely be at Hopkins, where this senior class is not lost in the regular season. 20 seconds remain here in the fourth quarter. Cox back to pass. Looking for some help, and he's taken down from behind, and the ball is taken away, and Johns Hopkins pounces on it. And another turnover for Frostburg State. And we came into this game, FSU plus 12 in turnovers. Johns Hopkins only plus 2 for the season. make that 4 second-half turnovers for the Bobcats. And that part is a big reason of why this one went down the way it did. Victory formation here for Johns Hopkins. And a knee is taken. And congratulations to the Blue Jays. 58-27 your final. Johns Hopkins. 58-27. The Blue Jays move on to the NCAA quarterfinal. And the Blue Jays win, and they'll make it 10 in a row. After a Week 2 loss to Susquehanna, Blue Jays sort of dropped off the grid, fell out of the D3Football.com poll for the first time since 2011. And they do the job here today. A 58-27 victory for the Blue Jays. A dominating second half, a 29-point run in the third quarter, really deciding this one. Tyler Messenger, an outstanding performance, over 200 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, both Johns Hopkins postseason records. And as a team, the Blue Jays ran for 400 yards rushing on the day. That will do it for us here from Bobcat Stadium. Thank you so much for joining us. This Frostburg State season ends at 10-1. The first 10-0 season in school history ends with a loss in the second round. And Hopkins will move on to the quarterfinals to place the winner of Brockport and RPI. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Bobcat Sports Network all season long. It is Johns Hopkins moving on here today.